Game one, the get-in price for Game one matchup between the Aces and the Mercury for a WNBA Finals game. Holy hell, there's $35 seats right there. Right there. Plenty of good seats available. Wow, 35 whole dollars. This might be the best part of the video for the WNBA, because when you gauge the interest, to gauge the interest of this series, and it was ugly.
You've been told that this was the moment the WNBA collapsed, that a $35 ticket price and empty seats were the smoking gun that proved once and for all that without Caitlin Clark, the league was finished. You've been fed a narrative of failure, of embarrassment, and of a championship series that nobody wanted to watch. Today, we're going to expose that entire story as a lie. We're going to connect the dots and show you how a handful of content creators manufactured a story of disaster to get your clicks, while deliberately ignoring the record-breaking, history-making reality of the 2025 season. And we're going to show you how one player, A'ja Wilson, in the middle of one of the most dominant seasons in sports history, gave the perfect reaction to the media who tried to erase her accomplishments. This is the real story of why they got it wrong. If you believe, like we do, that the truth is more important than the clickbait, show your support right now and smash that like button. It tells us you want the real story, not the manufactured drama, and it fuels our next investigation. All right, let's start by dismantling the lie that launched 1,000 videos, the myth of the empty arena, the competitor videos, with titles screaming about the commissioner walking out after seeing just 150 fans, built their entire case on this one powerful image of failure. They presented it as fact, an undisputed sign of a league in crisis. But as narrative analysts, our job is to filter out the noise and look at the numbers. And the numbers tell a completely different story. The official, verified attendance for Game 1 of the WNBA Finals at Michelob Ultra Arena was 10,409 fans. The arena's capacity for basketball is 12,000. That's not a ghost town. That's 87% capacity for the opening game of the championship series. So where did the images of empty seats come from? Many of you have been pointing this out on social media for a while now, and you're right on the money. The empty seats you see on television at almost any professional sporting event are almost always the corporate-owned luxury seats and lower bowl blocks that go unused, even when the rest of the arena is sold out. It's a visual trick, and the channels pushing this narrative counted on you not knowing the difference. They took a common arena phenomenon and weaponized it to create a fiction. The 150 fans claim wasn't just an exaggeration, it was a complete fabrication, disproven by publicly available data. But the story they were selling went beyond just attendance. They claimed nobody was watching, that without Clark, the TV ratings had fallen off a cliff. Once again, they were hoping you wouldn't check the receipts. So, the arenas weren't empty. But what about the viewers at home? The lie they sold was that the ratings were a disaster.
DeWanna Bonner, Alyssa Thomas, and the Mercury in the finals against A'ja Wilson and the Aces. Will you be locked in watching this series? ? Yes or no? Hit the poll. 4% of brave souls said yes. 96% said hail to the no.
You were shown polls claiming 96% of fans weren't watching to reinforce this idea of mass apathy. But the actual verified viewership data doesn't just contradict this narrative, it demolishes it. The 2025 WNBA Finals averaged 1.5 million viewers, making it the second most watched finals series on ESPN in the last 22 years. That so-called embarrassing Game 1, it drew 1.9 million viewers, making it the most-watched WNBA Finals opener since 1997. That's 28 years. But here is the single most important number that the clickbait channels will never show you. The number that completely destroys the Caitlin Clark dependency myth. Despite Clark being sidelined with an injury for the entire postseason, viewership for the 2025 WNBA playoffs increased by 5% over the 2024 playoffs. Let that sink in for a moment. With the player who supposedly accounted for all of the league's economic activity off the court, the postseason audience grew. What do you think when you see that data? Does that sound like a league that's collapsing, or does it sound like a story that was intentionally manipulated? Let me know your take in the comments below. Because this is where we have to connect the bigger dots. The media's focus on a fake finals controversy wasn't an accident. It was a necessary distraction from the runaway success of the entire 2025 season. A season that proved the league was bigger, stronger, and more popular than ever, even with its biggest star on the bench. The story they didn't want to tell you was the truth. The truth is, the WNBA didn't just survive in 2025, it shattered records. The league set an all-time high for average attendance, with 11,148 fans per game. Total attendance for the regular season was up 34% from the previous year. Think about that. Not a small bump, a massive, undeniable surge in fan engagement across the board. And if you want proof that this growth wasn't isolated to one team or one player, you only need to look at the league's newest franchise. The Golden State Valkyries, in their very first year of existence, sold out all 22 of their home games. They set a new league record by drawing an average of over 18,000 fans to every single game. This isn't a sign of a league on life support. It's the sign of a league that is exploding in popularity, with multiple powerful fan bases driving its success. This is the story they didn't want you to see, a story of widespread, sustainable growth. And at the center of that story wasn't an absence, but a presence. The dominant, history-making presence of A'ja Wilson. While the clickbait channels were busy editing together clips of empty corporate seats, they missed the real story of the season. A'ja Wilson was in the middle of arguably the single greatest individual season in the history of professional basketball. And her journey to that championship wasn't just about statistics. It was a masterclass in leadership forged in the fire of a near-catastrophic collapse. Many people forget that halfway through the 2025 season, the Las Vegas Aces dynasty was on the verge of crumbling. They were a mediocre 14-14, and on August 2nd, they suffered a humiliating 53-point loss to Minnesota. The season was slipping away. That is the moment that defines a true leader. In the aftermath of that loss, A'ja Wilson sent a text message to her entire team. It read, "If you weren't embarrassed from yesterday, then don't come into this gym. You're not needed or wanted here. We need the mindset to shift because that was embarrassing." That single text message became the spark. From that moment on, the Aces did not lose another regular season game. They ripped off a 16-game winning streak, stormed through the playoffs, and swept the finals to win their third championship in 4 years. A'ja Wilson didn't just put up numbers. She wheeled her team back from the brink and carried them to a title. And this brings us back to the title of this video. The media, in their attempt to sell a story of a failing league, cherry-picked a quote from Wilson where she said, "We're playing some of the best basketball out there, but it's like nobody's watching." They framed this as her admitting defeat, as a frustrated star complaining about empty seats. But now that you know the context, you can see the truth. That wasn't a shot at the fans who were showing up in record numbers all season. It was a shot at the media machine that was ignoring one of the most incredible comeback stories in sports to chase clicks about fake controversies. So, what was A'ja Wilson's real reaction to the 2025 season? It wasn't frustration. It wasn't defeat. Her real reaction came after she won the championship, when she walked into the press conference wearing ski goggles, holding a tambourine, and told the world, "This is a symbol of the joyfulness we have right now." That is the reaction they didn't want to show you, the pure joy of a champion who proved everyone wrong. Which image do you think tells the real story of the 2025 WNBA Finals? The manufactured image of frustration, or the authentic image of a champion's joy? Let me know in the comments. So when we filter out all the noise and connect the final dots, the picture becomes undeniable. The narrative of the WNBA's collapse without Caitlin Clark wasn't just misleading, it was a deliberate fiction, manufactured for clicks and engagement. The real story, supported by verifiable data, is one of unprecedented success, record-shattering attendance, viewership numbers not seen in decades, and a postseason that grew its audience even without its most hyped star. The media got it wrong because they spent the season chasing a ghost, telling a story about who wasn't there. They completely missed the powerhouse who was right in front of them, dominating the league and leading her team on one of the most incredible championship runs in recent memory. A'ja Wilson's historic, joyful, and defiant season wasn't just the story of the year, it was the ultimate rebuttal to the fake narrative they tried to sell you. The league isn't just surviving, it's thriving. So, what's your take on all this? We want your final verdict. Do you believe the media's intense focus on Caitlin Clark's absence was a deliberate attempt to downplay A'ja Wilson's historic season? Or was it just a business decision that misjudged the true pulse of the fans? Let us know your theory in the comment section below. If you believe the story behind the story is what truly matters, and you want to be part of a community that filters out the noise, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell. We're already investigating the next big narrative, and you'll be the first to know what we uncover. And finally, if you know another fan who only saw the negative headlines, do them a favor and share this video. Every narrative analyst deserves to know the real story,